This week's Baller Pass exclusive is with the one and the only former defensive back for the Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. Ellis Hobbs. Ellis, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Not a problem.
Ellis, we're going to get into all of the great things that you're doing in the community, but before we do that, I kind of want to get a little background about you and who you are and some of the experiences that you've had in football and community efforts as well. Back in 2010, most people know who follow football. We know that you had a almost career-ending injury when you played a game against the New York Giants. A lot of people thought that you may have been paralyzed at the time. What was actually going through your mind at that moment when you were laying there waiting to see what was happening?
Well, you know what? For 10 to 12 minutes, I definitely was paralyzed. Nobody could tell you better than I could, and that was definitely the case, where I couldn't move anything, blink my eyes or talk for that matter, for I think a good 5 minutes as far as talking goes. But I was very calm. I think the first thing that ran across my mind was just kind of questioning myself, saying, so this is how I really feel. And I think it was because I actually met a young man about a year and a half ago before that that is fully paralyzed, from the chest down. A young man that went to my high school, DeSoto High School, and I've befriended him. Me and him become really good friends, actually. And I've actually done some events raising some money for him, his family, for the situation that he's in. And I just remember that coming across my comment and just being very calm.
From that injury, how did that really kind of change your perspective and your outlook on your professional life, your family life, or any area of your life?
You know what? Just to appreciate everything. I think when you go through a traumatic experience like that, you really just understand what life is about. You understand how just everything that you normally think that's supposed to happen to you or with you or because of you shouldn't be taken for granted, because everything could be taken away at a moment's notice. And it's just one of those things where you just really are appreciative of all the things that come your way. And good or bad, you can say, you know what, I'm still alive and I still have the gifts that God's blessed me with.
So I want to kind of segue back to Corey because I wanted to touch on him as well. His name was Corey Borner. A young man. I do believe he was 15 or 16 at the time of the injury. And just so the listeners can kind of know a little background, I do believe it was during football practice. He was tackled and sustained like a spinal cord injury and was paralyzed from the neck down. How has Corey really touched your life? Because I know from there you kind of did some other community work. How has he changed your life?
Well, him individually, just to talk to him, obviously to be at a young age, a teenager where, teenagers have enough problems on their own, where everything's kind of coming full circle for them. They're experiencing different things, whether it's girls or getting their first job or getting their first license, going through emotional problems, things like that. To handle all those things as a teenager and then to get thrown at you, something that traumatic, and still come out on the other end smiling. I just remember when we first met, how he was just so in awe to see me. And I was just so in awe just to see him and still be alive and still pushing on, and continue every time I see him. It just gives me inspiration to say, you know what, you think you have it bad, and when you have a bad day or something's not going your way, you remember a guy like him who, in our mind, something is, wrong with him, something's going wrong or it's bad right now, but he's managing to see the positive out of it all. And still to this day, he'll tell you that one day he's eventually going to walk. And, he's made me a believer. And it's like one of those things where I do nothing but support him.
From there, was the Ellis Hobbs Eagle Olympics created? Was it from his experience, or was that something separate?
No, I think it just made me more involved. I think the Eagle Olympics was already established. It was already there. I actually just kind of came in and partnered with it at DeSoto High School. And I said, you know what, I can do just as much for these people who can help themselves, if not more, for them than for the people who can go out there on a daily basis and help themselves. I think everybody needs help in this world, and everybody needs a lending hand from one perspective or another. But when you're talking about people that literally do not know how to help themselves or out of their control can't help themselves, those are the ones you really want to touch and not forget, because on a day-to-day basis, people are passing them by and not realizing that they're still trying to sustain some type of life and maintain some type of livelihood. And so my heart just kind of went out to that ever since I met Corey, and just kind of went that route and saying, you know what, I can help these people more than I can help anybody else.
So what would be a piece of advice that you would give to a young person who may be struggling, maybe not even something as traumatic as what Corey experienced, but it may just be some type of gender identity, or it may be an issue with peer pressure or drugs or gangs, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to a young person that's really at that forefront in their life where they are about to make a life-changing decision?
Well, I wouldn't want to try to make it less with one piece, more than two pieces, where one, I would first tell them that, it's not that serious. Anytime you're going through something that seems so traumatic and it seems so stressful and dramatized, and then when you come out of it, you kind of look at it and say, you know what, that wasn't that bad. I think the first advice I would give is saying, look at it from that perspective and understand that it's not that serious in the end. And then every event, every situation has its season. When you're in at one moment and you think everything's good, be ready for that bad fall. When you're going through those bad moments, look at those good moments and say, you know what, we're going to come back around to that. So every moment has its season.
Guys, if you're just logging on to the interview, I'm here with the one, the only Ellis Hobbs, and he's joining us talking about just life experiences and also about some of the great things that he's doing in the community. So, Ellis, this year you will be hosting your first annual, congratulations, Ellis Hobbs Football and Life Skills Camp. We know the camp is coming up July 18th through the 22nd. Why did you actually choose the Rhode Island location?
Thank you. Well, first off, I appreciate you kind of giving me my kudos, but it was more of me and my wife as a team. We've really been doing things as a tandem as of late, ever since I've kind of been able to step back aside from football. But the main reason that I have done these things in the Rhode Island area is because if you do any type of research or history, Rhode Island is a very impoverished area. And like I said, just going back to helping those who can't help themselves, we're trying to do it in a very cost-efficient manner. And then me playing up there for a significant amount of time just really created a people buzz where I was very closely related to a lot of people up there, established some long-life friends, and I keep in contact with them. And all the time I'm always asked, when are you coming back? When are you going to be able to support this group and, show some love? And so that's one thing that I always want to do.
Someone wanted to find out about the camp. We know that they can go to ellishobbsports.com. But this year you're offering some great activities for the youth, individual and group instruction, a special area for skills development, a 7-on-7 flag football game. One thing that kind of jumped out was the life skills workshop. Can you talk a little bit more about what the life skills workshop will include?
Yeah, actually, just to kind of give you a brief synopsis on it, people don't realize how much sports and life correlate, where you can take the same concept, the same ideology that you have in sports and transfer it over into the real world. The same application of never giving up, finding a way around a problem, a situation, pushing through adversity. All these things correspond with football, with basketball, with any type of sport. And because people love sports so much, that's one thing that I wanted to incorporate into this camp. It made kids realize that, everybody's not going to be able to make it to the NFL. It's a very small window, and it's very hard once you get there to even maintain a job. But the same type of thought process, the same type of, existence that you have in the NFL goes into the real world, and life doesn't stop once you start or end sports. And so, it's one of those things where I want to hit on, everything pretty much. For the younger kids, I do want to keep it PG rated, when we get to the drug and sex talks, talking more about health and peer pressure for them. But not only that, but just choices, prison, how to conduct yourself in public, how to speak to people, how to look them in the eye, all these things that we take for granted and assume that kids have this day and age. There's a lot of fatherless kids out there, a lot of kids that are kind of going down the wrong path. And I just want to be one of those people that say, you know what, I gave it a shot to try to throw something into their brain so that hopefully something sticks. Is registration still open? Yeah, most definitely. We had closed it off initially. Prior to this, I believe it was a week out of the camp, so it's like right around now. But we left it open. We have plenty of spots available. And like I said, you're really getting your bang for your buck. I know when people look at it and say $300, wow. For one, there's a lot of camps around there that are $600 to $800 that are not supplying anything that we're doing. We're taking care of all the food. Time itself from 8:30 to 5 o'clock. I mean, that's literally like daycare service. All we ask that you bring the kids in shorts and shoes, or cleats rather. And then, like I said, we're taking care of the food, the entertainment. We're going to have video games for the kids during the lunch hours. We're going to make sure we keep it lively with the games. Everybody's going to be moving around. I'm going to be participating in this thing myself. So you're not just going to see me one day and I'm gone the next. And like I said, man, we're going to keep this thing rocking and rolling. And my biggest thing is to make people come back. And so to do that, you got to let people know that you're organized and that you're well established, and that's what we are.
Guys, if you want to come to the camp, it's still open. You still can register. The website is ellishobbsports.com. Before I let you go, Ellis, I got to talk Lockout, just really briefly. Not going to go into a lot of details with that, but with the training camps and preseason looming, what do you think the outcome will be of this Wednesday's and Thursday's talks? Do you think that they're going to come to some type of agreement?
You know what? I really don't know. And I mean, to be honest, I see a lot of players speak on this. Like, I don't think we really care. We just want to get text or get the call. You know, tell me when the deal's done. You know, I don't. They don't pay me to do this. They pay me to play. And so by saying that, we pay our reps. We pay DeMaurice Smith to go into those rooms and battle for us. So it's like, you know, just tell me when the baby gets here. I'm tired of hearing that we're almost there. We're almost there. You know, you're playing with the fans' emotions. You're playing with our emotions. You know, ESPN, you see all these sports websites, this and that. They don't really have nothing to pull on right now, so they're just trying to give you the blow-by-blow and up-to-date thing. But, you know, this is about money. This is bigger than football. This is bigger than anything anybody ever expected. And you know, I knew that from day one because this is a business. You know, it has nothing to do with the sport itself. It has nothing to do with the excitement, all those things that the fans, you know, love and cherish. You know, this is about money, and this is about business at the end of the day. So when they're ready and when both sides come to that agreement, they will. Whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, I don't really see it happening. Like I said, this is this is very, very, very complicated. You know, you're talking about a lot on the line here. You definitely don't want to make a mistake because once something's set in place, you know, that's it. So I don't really know if anything Wednesday or Thursday is going to happen.
Well, Ellis, we know that outside of football, you have a lot of great things going on. You're EP in movies, you and your wife, you're running camps. So we really, really appreciate you just taking the time out. But Lockout aside, have the doctors cleared you to return for the 2011-2012 season?
No, well, because of the lockout, we're not allowed to talk to any team doctors because they are affiliated with teams, certain things like that. And so, you know, I'm just sitting here waiting, you know, just waiting for that to be over with. Even if I take a year off or whatever, you know, it's probably a year well needed. But if a doctor can come back and tell me that I have no more risk of being injured, you know, than the next player out there, then I'm back. If not, you know, I move on with my other ventures and do what I'm doing, man. Like I said, where you say EP in movies, setting up my own website, setting up my own, incorporating myself, me and my wife out of Stratosphere, all these things, man. We're just excited to be here. I'm happy to be alive, man. I'm young, and I'm dusting myself off and just saying what's next.
Well, thank you so much, Ellis. You were definitely a great interview. I really, really appreciate you joining us here on Baller Pass. For those of you that want to learn more about Ellis, you can follow him on Twitter at Ellis Hobbs. To learn more about the camp, again, you can go on to ellishobbsports.com. So, Ellis, if there's anything else you want to say, feel free. But if not, I really, really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, like I always leave every conversation, I always say the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So when people go out there in the world and you wonder why you're consistently failing, look at how you're preparing yourself and then ask yourself that question again.